Well, here we are in the next lesson of our advanced growth track. Don't forget, you can go to YouTube, to our channel, FFWC Palm City, and you can look at previous lessons. If you've missed one, catch up. And if you just want to refresh your course, that's a great way to keep up with what's going on as we go through these next few weeks together. So I encourage you to do so. Now, we have to be reminded of things all the time. Why is that? We forget. We only remember a fraction of what we hear. Even on a good day, if somebody is just droning on and just, you know what I mean? I tune them out. They get about 3, maybe 5 minutes, and then I'm done. And then there's all the noise that's going on around you, the news, the internet, the dinging of the email, the phone calls, the messages, the other interruptions. And that's why setting aside and protecting blocks of time in order to do something productive is one of the big keys that very successful people do. And I'm just sharing that with you because if you find yourself really struggling, you might want to turn all those notifications off and take an opportunity just to sit down for an hour or two and just get the work done. Now, there's something else that interferes with our hearing, with our ability to be able to listen, and that's called selfishness. Selfishness will make you deaf. It's a truth. You will not be able to hear anything around you as long as you're in that attitude. It makes you insensitive to what's going on around you, and it leads you to a sense of arrogance and privilege that just makes everything else going on around you, it doesn't matter, you know. We know that selfishness is a sin. Now, in Philippians 2, 3, and 4, Paul writes to the church in Philippi, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourself. Don't look out for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. Now, the word selfish here in the Greek can also mean empty conceit, vanity, arrogance, narcissism. You know, this is not a pretty word. Come on. In a world that is screaming, look at me, look at me. I mean, how many people do you see on the internet? How many people try to get your attention on a commercial, being louder, being bolder, being brighter, being more obnoxious? Look at me, look at me. And then whenever you try to speak to people and say, hey, let's look at Jesus, you wonder why they can't hear you. They're deaf. They're spiritually deaf. So how do you get through all of this in order to be able to get them to listen? Well, you earn the right to be heard. Let me say that again. You earn the right to be heard. Now, I know it's a little early in the video, but let me recap here just in case you didn't hear what I said. Sinners and selfishness go together. They're not listening, especially to you. And you've got to earn the right to be heard. Now, why? Because people listen to who they want to listen to. All the major news networks and all of their fake news do so because they tell the audience what the audience wants to hear. Our demand for the truth today in our culture simply isn't that big a deal. And that's why we have many of the problems that we're dealing with today. So I'm going to share with you some principles that you need to remember if you're going to lead people closer to Jesus. People will always listen to somebody that offers them hope. First of all, it could be Jesus. Second of all, it could be an alien. They'll listen. They don't care. Anybody who will offer hope, they'll listen to the message. But people will learn from those who earn the right to speak to them. So, quite honestly, we as a church, not only do we want to give them a message of hope, but we also want to earn the right to speak into their lives. How does this happen? Care about them. Too often, though, in the world we live in, people say, I care, and then they abandon them. And what they say and what they do are two different things. Let me say this. Saying it and proving it is dependent upon your consistency. You have to consistently keep speaking into their lives. Too long have we relied upon the organized church to do the job for us. That was a dumb move we made, and we shouldn't do that. We need to prove it personally. Speak the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15. That's where you want to go to find that. Be encouraging, be loving, be honest, be forgiving. It is very likely that people will experience forgiveness from you before they experience forgiveness of Jesus. Think about that. They will experience the forgiveness of Jesus if they experience forgiveness from you. In other words, they're going to try it on for size, and you're the one who's going to have the wonderful opportunity to be able to do it. Do it well. Now, what do you do? Number one, be humble. Look at Philippians 2 again. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Okay. So humility is a realization that you are not superior to God and you're not superior to everybody else. And especially to the people who need your leadership the most. When you put yourself before God and or others, you're saying, I'm more important than you. That's arrogance. That's selfish. Now, if you say that you're more important than God, that's straight up idolatry. And if you say you're more important than everybody else, that's selfish. Remember Jesus' words in Matthew 18, where he taught the parable about the shepherd who left the 99 to go find the one. What he's describing there is an act of humility and an act of love. Number two, be sacrificial. Back to Philippians 2, verse 4, don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. Followers of Jesus oftentimes will fall into a common lie here, and it says, I don't have enough. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough wisdom, I don't have enough emotional strength, I don't have enough knowledge. But the reality is, you do have enough. There really are no excuses. God did not give you a limited mindset. He gave you an eternal mindset. And when it comes to growing your faith and the faith of others, you have unlimited resources. Now, to say that that you don't have enough is to say that God is limited. And I know some people may struggle with that statement, but I don't think anybody here really wants to raise their hand and say, I don't think God has enough. We know that God owns cattle on 1,000 hills. He has everything. And whenever we are committed to fulfilling and building the kingdom of God, fulfilling His will, He is going to supply everything that you need in order to be able to do that. If you give it away, God will multiply it. In other words, God will supply your needs. But it's all a matter of priorities, not logic. Satan can use logic. He can make it dance any way he wants it to in order to get what he wants. But only God can make faith a reality if you're willing to put Him and others first in your life. Now, number three, be consistent. Nope, it's not easy. Yes, I believe you're going to mess this up. Probably you're going to do it pretty good. Why? Because I do it all the time. This is one it is hard for everybody to be able to do, but failure isn't an excuse to give up. Failure is not an excuse to give up. You need to be consistent, faithful, be the first to reach out to new believers, be the first to follow up with them, be the first to text them, call them, email them, whatever. Do it all the time. Your consistency to call and engage them earns your right to speak into their lives. Now, research was done a few years ago, and it was determined that a pastor, if he worked full-time, 50 hours a week, could effectively minister to about 20 to 25 people. That's it. That's all one person can do. But there is the power of multiplication. And that's what I believe that Paul is talking about in Philippians chapter number 2. He isn't talking to me. Well, he is talking to me, but he's talking to you too. He's saying that if everybody will take the responsibility to take care of everybody, then we can multiply His presence in people's lives exponentially. Number 4, be honest. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of humility. Back to number 1, remember? Truth is a casualty of our culture, and sooner or later, people are going to realize it. And when they do, they're going to go to people who told them the truth. And I want that to be you, people who have been honest with them all the time. Tell the truth with love. Don't get preachy. Don't get condemning. The truth may hurt, but here is where your presence matters. Because people will go through tough times. People are going to have crisis in their lives. And if, number one, they know they don't have to go through it alone, and number two, there is somebody there that will help guide them and lead them, then they will listen. Number 5, be a leader. Paul wasn't trying to get the church in Philippi to be like himself. He wasn't going out trying to create little mini-me's of himself in the church of Philippi, but he understood Christ-like leadership qualities. He knew what they were. And he understood the wisdom of God of sharing these principles with other believers. And that's what you should do too. Share with your new believers what God shares with you. God doesn't give you or me wisdom to be self-serving. Let me say it again. Wisdom isn't self-serving. Wisdom is given to you to share with others. God has given you a message about something that will open the eyes and direct the lives of people around you. It doesn't have to be a "thus saith the Lord," even though he does that once in a while, kind of, powerful event. It could be just a simple truth that you speak into somebody's life that can change their heart. And because you earned the right to say it, you're going to lead them a little bit closer to Jesus. Well, that's it. That's how you get people who would normally never listen to you to listen. You work hard, trial and error, keep plugging on, and don't lose your faith. Yep, that's it. That's what you just got to keep doing. And if you will do that consistently, it will always pay off. Well, Randy's next. I'm going to turn it over to him, and you're going to love on him for a while, and he's going to love on you, and you're all going to do it in love, and you're going to listen to each other. And okay, you get it. All right, next week we're going to be talking about the role of the Holy Spirit in your life and in the life of the new believer that you are leading closer to Jesus. All right, God bless you. Until then, we'll see you